When you're designing programs for dementia care, it's a little different to IDD and some other parts of healthcare. You have to have a principle based design, not schedule based, which you need in a lot of other areas. But you have to do that so that you can accommodate all the different types of realities that your residents are living in. Now, sometimes that means that you are going to have some really strange schedules and strange routines that you get into because of that. I remember this really lovely guy. That when I first met him, I was told he was a behavioral problem and that he was violent. So I saw him every morning going through the same fight. Staff would try and bring him into the dining room for breakfast, for activities. He'd get really agitated. He'd start yelling. The nurses would try and redirect him. They were doing a fine job. And he'd start swinging punches. He'd end up yelling in his room, or if he was really violent, sometimes they'd give him some medication they had for his outbursts. So I saw this happen a couple of times. I thought, let's try something different. I stepped into the middle of one of these altercations and I said, now, what seems to be the problem, sir? And I must have looked official or something because he sort of snapped out of it for a minute and looked at me and said, these nincompoops won't let me go to my office. I'm going to be late for the board meeting. He'd been a CEO all his life. So a nurse started to explain to him he wasn't at work, trying to reorient him to reality. Never a good idea. So I stopped her and asked him, where is the board meeting today? And he says, oh, it's in conference room 203, which was his room number as he conflated those realities. And he says, it's up on the seventh floor. One of the nurses, as she'd no doubt explained to him 100 times before, said, well, we only have one floor, Harold. There's no seventh floor here. So I decided maybe it's time for some therapeutic fibbing. I'm sure you can all relate. And I told him our main elevator was broken, but I could take him up in the maintenance elevator. So we went into the supply closet, turned the lights off. Sorry about the mess in here. And so that was our maintenance elevator. And we went to conference 203, took him to his room. And then I set him up with a coffee, which it turns out was the only breakfast the man had eaten his entire adult life. Got him his newspaper, put the news on the TV, and said, yeah, this will just be until the rest of the board arrives. I can't get anything else for you, sir. He thanked me and said, you'll go far in this company. Um, he did that every day, every single day for 18 months. He and I went through this same routine: get to work, say hello, take him in the elevator, off to his room. Did it every day as soon as I arrived. And he never got in any more fights. He never needed any more of his psychotropic meds. That's a great way to do med reductions. The man had a much happier time for the last 18 months of his life. So as you're building your dementia programs, you have to make sure you build in the flexibility to accommodate people living the life that they want to in whatever reality they happen to be living in.